Biodiversity conservation. Key aspects and importance. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life on Earth, including all living organisms, plants, animals, fungi, microorganisms, and the ecosystems they form. It encompasses the genetic diversity within species, the variety of species, and the diversity of ecosystems. Biodiversity is essential for ecosystem health, resilience, and the well-being of all living organisms, including humans. However, human activities such as habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change have put immense pressure on biodiversity, leading to the loss of species and ecosystems. Conservation efforts aim to protect and restore this diversity to ensure a healthy planet for future generations. 1. Why is biodiversity important? Biodiversity plays a crucial role in the functioning of ecosystems and provides numerous benefits, including ecosystem stability. Healthy biodiversity enhances ecosystem stability and resilience, making ecosystems more adaptable to changes like climate fluctuations or natural disasters. Ecosystem services. Biodiversity is the foundation of ecosystem services, which are critical to human survival. These services include pollination of crops, clean water, air purification, climate regulation, and soil fertility. Medicinal resources. Many pharmaceutical drugs have been developed from natural sources, such as plants and microorganisms. Preserving biodiversity is key to discovering new treatments for diseases. Food security. Diverse genetic resources in crops, livestock, and wild species are essential for agricultural productivity, especially in the face of pests, diseases, and changing environmental conditions. Cultural and recreational value. Many cultures have deep connections to the land and wildlife. Biodiversity also contributes to tourism and outdoor recreation, which are vital economic activities in many regions. 2. Threats to biodiversity. Several human-induced factors threaten biodiversity worldwide: habitat destruction, urbanization, deforestation, agriculture, and mining cause the loss of critical habitats for many species. Habitat fragmentation also isolates populations, making it harder for species to survive. Climate change. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and more frequent extreme weather events are altering habitats and migration patterns. Some species are unable to adapt quickly enough to these changes. Overexploitation, unsustainable hunting, fishing, logging, and agriculture deplete populations of species and can drive them to extinction. Overfishing, in particular, threatens marine biodiversity. Pollution. Pollution from plastics, chemicals, and excess nutrients disrupts ecosystems, harms species, and can lead to biodiversity loss. Marine ecosystems, for instance, are particularly vulnerable to plastic waste and oil spills. Invasive species. Non-native species that are introduced into new habitats, often due to human activity, can outcompete, prey on, or introduce diseases to native species, causing significant ecological imbalance. Diseases. Pathogens, often facilitated by human movement, can decimate wildlife populations, particularly when species have no natural immunity. 3. Endangered species and their protection. Endangered species are those that are at risk of extinction due to the above threats. Some high-profile examples include Amur leopard, one of the rarest big cats, found in the forests of the Russian Far East and Northeast China. Sumatran orangutan, native to Indonesia's Sumatran rainforest, this primate faces severe threats from habitat loss and poaching. Vaquita, a small porpoise species found in the northern part of the Gulf of California, critically endangered due to bycatch and illegal gill nets. Conservation measures for endangered species include protected areas, establishing national parks, wildlife reserves, and marine protected areas to safeguard habitats and reduce human impacts. Captive breeding and reintroduction, programs that breed endangered species in captivity and reintroduce them into the wild, when viable, to help bolster population numbers. Legislation and enforcement, international agreements such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, regulate trade in endangered species, while national laws protect them from poaching and exploitation. Community involvement, engaging local communities in conservation efforts ensures that they benefit from preserving wildlife and ecosystems, such as through ecotourism, sustainable farming, or alternative livelihoods. 4. Conservation strategies and approaches. Ecosystem-based conservation. This approach focuses on protecting entire ecosystems rather than individual species. By conserving ecosystems like forests, wetlands, and coral reefs, many species are protected simultaneously. Landscape connectivity, creating wildlife corridors and ensuring connectivity between fragmented habitats allows species to migrate, reproduce, and maintain healthy gene pools. Sustainable resource management, encouraging sustainable practices in agriculture, fishing, and forestry reduces the negative impact on biodiversity while allowing for human needs to be met. Restoration ecology. This involves the restoration of degraded ecosystems and habitats, such as replanting forests or rehabilitating coral reefs, to restore biodiversity and ecosystem services. Public awareness and education. Educating people about the importance of biodiversity and the steps they can take to protect it, for example, reducing waste, supporting conservation policies, and choosing sustainable products, is critical for long-term success. 5. The role of international efforts. Many global organizations and initiatives aim to conserve biodiversity. The Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, an international treaty signed by nearly every country that aims to protect biodiversity, sustainably use biological resources, and fairly share the benefits of genetic resources. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, specifically SDG 15, Life on Land, and SDG 14, Life Below Water, focus on halting biodiversity loss, protecting ecosystems, and conserving marine and terrestrial habitats. The IUCN Red List, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, maintains a list of threatened species, providing crucial information for conservation priorities. Protected area networks. The creation of a global network of protected areas, such as the World Heritage Sites, helps preserve biodiversity across borders. 6. Local and individual actions for biodiversity conservation. Supporting eco-friendly products, purchasing sustainably sourced products, reducing plastic use, and supporting ethical brands can have a positive impact on biodiversity. Reducing carbon footprint, lowering energy consumption, and supporting clean energy alternatives help mitigate climate change, a major threat to biodiversity. Planting native species. In urban or suburban settings, planting native plants provides food and shelter for local wildlife, supporting local ecosystems. Volunteering and advocacy. Participating in local conservation efforts or supporting organizations dedicated to wildlife preservation can amplify positive impacts.